Okay, hello viewers. As I would like to state, my name is Finn, and I'm going to be on this account with Cal. We will both be reading podfics, or fanfics technically, and this one is a Boku no Hero, My Hero Academia, fic, and it is by my good friend Knox on Wood. Go check her out. She's on AO3, perfectly good account. I'm going to be reading chapter 1 and 2 today, so I will give you a small little summary with the ships that will be in the story, which is Izuchako, Erasermic, and Inko X Toshinori, or All Might, as we know, and the daughter's name will be Chiyomi, as it is Izuchako based. So, alright, I'm going to get started. Let's go ahead and read chapter 1 together. Summary. After the war, Izuku and Ochako, married and happy, eventually have a kid, like most married couples, but their daughter reminds Ochako of someone from her past. Chapter 1, Chiyomi. Intro. Ochako rested her chin in her palm, her gaze resting on the passing clouds. She was sitting at the table of her dining room, Izuku teaching a class at the moment. She wanted to get back to the hero work, truthfully, but any day now, she was going to have their daughter. She huffed softly as she stood up, going to get herself some food. Ochako heaved, her chest rising and falling and tears falling from her eyes. She was exhausted and in pain, but she's never been so happy. And even more tears were falling from Izuku's. She cradled her new daughter, the young baby crying and reaching up towards nothing in particular. Izuku grinned as he sobbed next to Ochako. He reaching a shaky, scarred hand to brush against his daughter's face, bright green hair, paler than Izuku's, but also with his freckles. Chiyomi, Ochako whispered, her voice shaky as she raised the baby to kiss her head. She knew what the name Chiyomi meant, but Toga still lived in her mind, still lived in the corner of her eye until she looked over. Chiyomi, beautiful blood. Izuku brought his palm up to his cheeks, wiping the tears away, but they were replaced in moments. His gaze went to the doctor, and he shakily grabbed the pen, writing Chiyomi's name officially. Ochako held Chiyomi a bit tighter, bouncing the baby softly. Chiyomi's cries became whimpers. Shh, shh, that's it, baby, she whispered. Chiyomi gripped her hospital gown, Ochako kissing the baby's soft green hair once again. Izuku gently placed a hand on Ochako's shoulder, smiling at his wife and new daughter. Chiyomi then opened her eyes, and their breaths dissipated from their lungs. She had eyes like Ochako's, but different, and they were that same round shape, soft brown that would glisten beautifully in the sun, but the irises and pupils were different. They reminded Ochako of someone, but she couldn't place where. They had this glow, this golden glow. The eyes almost cat-like. The slitted pupils and lashes, especially the under-eye ones. Izuku didn't seem to notice. He didn't see it. He just saw his beautiful wife with his beautiful daughter. She has your eyes, sweetheart. Yeah. Chapter 2. First day of being a real dad. Chapter 2 is more centered around Izuku more than it is for Ochako, caring for Chiyomi, etc. Finally back home. Ochako shut the door behind her. She was exhausted, and it showed. Chiyomi slept quietly in the baby carrier, grasped tightly by Izuku. He still wasn't used to this whole dad thing. He was getting used to it, and didn't want to mess it up. He put the carrier on the table, looking at the baby with wondrous eyes. Hey, Chi-Chi, he whispered, reaching out and brushing a finger against her cheek. Izuku watched Ochako sit down. He knew she was exhausted, but he couldn't even imagine how exhausted his wife was. Should I? Izuku shook his head, knowing it was truly a dumb question. He smiled softly and picked Chiyomi's carrier back up. I'll go put her in the nursery. Ochako smiled softly and stood up. No, stay there. This has been a lot for you. Are you sure? Ochako asked, which Izuku nodded and smiled warmly. He carried Chiyomi to her nursery, soft purple walls with a carpeted floor and decorations on the walls. He placed the carrier next on the changing table. There we go. He slowly picked Chiyomi, the baby whining and opening her eyes. "Shh, it's okay," Izuku whispered, not wanting the baby to cry. It was a success. Success. He supported her head and laid her in her crib. Turning on the mobile, Chiyomi squirmed slightly as Izuku looked down at her, reaching down and brushing her short, pale green hair. A soft, loving look in his eyes, tears glistening in his eyes. He stood up, turning to turn on the light outside, turning to turn the light out, and slowly walking over towards the door to go back to Ochako. He very quietly closed the door behind him. The moment it closed, he realized how taut his entire body was, every muscle relaxing. A flicker from the corner of his eye, a translucent man, white hair flowing around his shoulders. Hard to tell if the hair were as soft as clouds or would feel like damn hay. Izuku wasn't surprised. Not anymore. He would see Tomura a lot, usually for only a part of a second, but he stayed in his vision a bit longer, at least a solid second and a half. The former villain's, current dead man, red cracked eyes weren't aimed at Izuku, resting the door to Chomi. Before he could react in any way, Tomura was gone again. Izuku sighed, his green gaze sweeping towards his new daughter's door before going back in front of him. "Babe, I put her to bed. Don't know how long she'll stay there." Izuku kept his voice quiet as he came over to Ichako's side. He wasn't surprised when she was asleep, grabbed a blanket and pulled it up over her. Okay, well, I guess that was it. Yeah. So I guess that's it for chapter 1 and 2 of Our Beautiful Daughter. And again, I will keep stating this fic is by my good friend Knocks on Wood. Go ahead, go check her out on AO3. Very good writer. I really enjoyed these first 2 chapters. I will see you when I do the next part, which will be chapters 3 and 4. Alright, see you guys next time. Peace.